actually this, we're going to make a folder on the desktop, call it Cityscape Video, or yep, I think that's a good description of it. And then you will take your clip and put it into that folder. So I had moved mine to a different place. Let me what did I do with mine? Oh, there it is. Alright, so now we have that video in there, so we're working from the local drive. That way our performance should be optimized. Nobody wants to wait for things to take forever, right? I already have this open, so I'm just gonna, I moved it. Alright, so when you guys open Premiere, you should have an option to make a new project. Right, something like this. This window should pop up. So let's name it the same thing, Cityscape Video. And we're going to browse to that location on your desktop. All right, so again, so I named it, and then for location, I'm going to browse. And on my desktop, put it there. Because Premiere makes a bunch of different like files, kind of like temporary files and things like that. So we want to have them all in one place, and we're not really going to play with any of these other settings. So that's all you really have to do. All right, any questions about project setup?
I don't know why mine's like this. I don't know if it's different because last time
I think that's just like the kind of the welcome type of screen. So this is the first screen that's put up?
yeah. Oh, the one time I opened it first.
Anybody else have a problem getting the project started? Devin, did you get the project started? You're on file over, and then we're working on shared multimedia video production, and then Cityscape Video.
I logged into this.
Alright, well, we're going to just work on the video now.
And then I'll come back to that.
Now go back to video production, and then Cityscape Video.
Oh, I said.
Alright, and then click, if you go to thumbnail view, then you should be able to identify which one is yours.
Wait, you hit browse.
And then you browse to that folder you made on your desktop. Alright, so now that we have our project set up, we're going to press OK. And I already have this in here. Let's see. Why is that looking odd? Alright, so I'm going to import my video clip then. So using our project panel, right, we talked about the different panels in Premiere. So on the bottom left in this display, and actually the one thing that the diagrams didn't talk about is these tabs here on the top also. So if you do want to learn something, right, so if I wasn't here, you could go through here, and there's little mini videos that show you how to learn different things. All right, we're going to go to this assembly tab. All right, what's happening to our screen as we click on these different tabs? It changes, right, and it kind of reorganizes all your panels and stuff. I think that, and I don't know if this was their design, I think if you go through these tabs kind of with your progress or your project, it kind of shows you the order of how to kind of assemble and create your video. So let's click on this assembly tab, And now we have this big panel here, which gives us basically an option to import all your footage. So with this assembly tab selected, now our project panel is nice and big, and we can just right click in here and select import. All right. So I'm going to go to my desktop folder. I'm going to find that Cityscape video, and then I'm going to find my clip. All right. So, any questions on importing your clip into your project?
Can't we just drag it into it?
You can. That's true. You can just drag it into there also. So if you are, what Mike was saying is we could just go to our desktop folder, and then we could just drag it in this way also. All right. All right. So actually, I want to look at something real quick.
Buffering now, is that probably a double click?
Fine if I just cut out the ending where I just kind of almost walked away.
Yeah, well, and that's what we're going to talk about is doing our in and out points. All right. So if we double click on our video, it opens up in our source window, right? So we talked about how this is our raw video footage. All right. So if you can play it through, and if you have something like this where you have extra footage at the beginning, all right, we're going to want to set our in and out point. So what we do is called scrubbing. We can grab this blue little playhead and we can move that, all right, or we can just press play. So I probably want to have some of this kind of looking around. So what I'm going to do is move my playhead to the point where I want to basically crop, and then as we indicated on our diagram, we're going to say mark in. All right, Mike?
Mine's just buffering. It's loading.
And you're using your clip from your desktop?
Yeah, I just grabbed it.
That's surprising. I would think that, and that was the whole point of using it from the desktop and not the network.
I was trying to double click it, and it just was bad.
All right.
I didn't work.
So is it still spinning or?
Yeah.
Yeah. You might want see if you can save it, close, and reopen. I don't know if it's going to let you since yeah.
Can't click anything.
Try do a force quit then and just reopen because I don't know how long that's going to take. All right. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on you there and try not to go too far ahead of you here. All right, so that would be our in point, and then we would want to do another one possibly at the end if you want to trim off anything at the end by doing an out point. All right, so as you can see on this little timeline here, that it's basically it grays out the area that we're not going to include into there. All right, so or if you don't have anything to trim, then all you're going to do is you're going to drag this clip onto your timeline. So now what it does, and you'll see it's created another file. This 0029, all right, is the name of the sequence. You can think of sequences as kind of like chapters in a book because you may have multiple sequences which you can then, as they say, nest into each other or put into a bigger sequence, and then it would make a book. All right, so we're just going to be working with basically one chapter or one sequence today. You could rename this so that you kind of identify what it is. So if I said rename, and we could say call this video sequence, right? So that you know the difference between that and your video clip that's in there. All right, Mike, did you reopen, or is it?
I can't even put it.
Can't do anything. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, I think, is we're going to import your Cityscape picture, all right? Because we want to have that to be in the background there. All right, we'll kind of get this set up, and then we'll do our effects. All right, so what's not working?
Importing the picture.
Well, are you importing an Illustrator or a JPEG?
It's a JPEG.
It should work. All right, but let's go through the process here. All right, so ideally we want to right-click and import, and then we will look for the JPEG file. So we talked about file management yesterday, so hopefully you guys can find your images relatively easy.
It says the video bit depth file 640.
Says the file cannot be opened because of a header
Does the AI file work, Nick? That's surprising. Try the AI file.
Okay, then. Try the AI file.
All right. Learn something new. All right, so drag those onto your time. Oh, drag this one on first. And then we'll talk about how to layer that. All right, so I am very surprised that the Illustrator file works, but hey, like I said, you learn something new every day, and it's good to know.
You just drag the Illustrator file.
Yep. We're seeing that the Illustrator file does work for that. Now, we're importing it, but
Do you have any footage to work with? So we can grab anybody's video, I guess.
and then did you make a folder on your desktop for this project? So did you just take one and drag it into there? And then so now if you double click that,
Illustrator is not really
just drag that into your project here. Right click that. Really responding there. And close it and try to reopen it. Control Alt Delete. Right click and then do close window. Do you have anything open else that you need to save? So then do this, you sign out and sign back in.
I also sign out because mine's not loading.
All right, yeah, I don't know why this is happening. All right, so let me, the next thing after we import this clip, we would want to bring our video onto the timeline. Now, I'm sorry, the picture. However, though, we don't want the picture over the video, right? We want the picture behind the video. So you have to do kind of a little layer ordering. So I'm just going to move up the video and then move the picture underneath of it. All right, so we can't see the picture there now, but we know it's there, and we'll kind of adjust that. Right, so you should have 2 layers going on there. Right, did you import your picture yet?
No.
All right, just, well, you can bring in a reference picture or something. This is just a practice activity. Yeah, so you can drag this onto your timeline. That's your video clip, yeah. So that makes your timeline. And then if you drag your Illustrator file, just that top file, you want to place it to the side to start. And then move this up, and then move that over. So when after we key it, drag it in the middle. After we key it out, we'll see the fabric. Right? So you want to drag this into there. Right there, then.
Oh, no, no.
So that's your timeline. Now bring your Illustrator file like right next to it.
just supposed to get the video. Is that it? Or
And then, well, it looks like you have a couple layers, right? So we can get, so you have the cityscape underneath there.
I got it working, you think it,
Yeah, just drag that in there. Alright,
Look,
so
I got it working.
So try your illustrator file.
You go into the base, you search up on your key, and then, yeah, but I gotta do image, so I gotta drag this up on my.
First of all, I gotta.
And then I'll bring this down underneath there.
All right, so I think we're all there now. Couple other kind of things I'm seeing as I'm going around and talking to you guys that we might want to observe. So just to verify that your cityscape is underneath there, we can use the eyeball on these layers, right? They work just like a layer in Photoshop. So if you want to verify that you do have your cityscape underneath there, you can just click the eyeball on your video layer to hide it. Another thing, zooming on your timeline, right? So if you have, sometimes if you are zoomed out, these little kind of displays are very small, and it's kind of hard to make your adjustments. So if you use this on the bottom, this basically allows you to zoom in and out on your timeline. All right. So now we're going to crop. We're going to start with our first effect. So let's go up to the top to our effects panel. All right, so now our whole interface changes again. We have this whole panel on the side here that shows us our list of effects. You can go through and look for stuff, but there's much easier way. They have a search bar on the top. So type in crop. All right, and it finds the effect that we want right here, crop, right? So we search, it finds it, and then we're just going to drag this crop effect onto the video layer. All right. Now it doesn't seem to do anything, but because it hasn't really, it's just kind of given the potential to be cropped. So what you should find though is on your effects control panel that we have something that says crop here. All right. Please let me know if you are not seeing crop in your effects control panel. Connor, you see that? Did you apply the crop effect?
Where should we drag it?
You drag it onto your video layer here. Because think about that, right? Computers are only as smart as the directions we give them. We need to tell it that we want to crop this clip.
Well, try your illustrator file or something. Just drag that in to open. Press open. Okay. You're going to want to drag, so this one needs to be on top. So you can, drag it over. Right, and then we're going to effects. Type in the word crop. And then drag that onto, because we're telling the computer or the software, we want to crop this video layer, right? So drag that onto there. Right? And, so make the order is reversed. Oh, that's why it's, you're playing it just too far over, you're not seeing your video. Alright, crop, crop, drag it onto the blue one on top, because we're cropping the video, not the picture. Alright. Crop. Oh, that's really good the video, I'm sorry. We're getting there, I don't want to lose anybody, so I'm kind of trying not to go too far. You have crop applied to this one? Okay, alright, here it is. Which, keying did you use there?
For the green screen?
Yeah.
Ultra screen.
Ultra key. I think that's what I used before too.
Yeah.
All right, so John, I'm going to copy you that file. That's what we were doing. All right, John, it's in there. All right, so now we have this effect applied. Now we're going to fine tune the settings to it. So we're going to come over to this effect control panel and we're going to just drag over the value for left. All right, because if we key it out with all this other stuff on the side, it's going to probably not have the best result. All right, so I'll do the same thing for the top. I'll just kind of bring that down a little bit, and then I'm going to bring my right side over. All right, now I do want to play this afterwards to make sure I didn't walk out of the frame. Remember we talked about that cropping. So
Like 25%, right?
what? Well, it's going to vary for all your videos. I really can't give you a specific number because, you know, you may be in a different position. All right, so you have to, you know, apply those settings, and then you can play it in real time, or as we say, scrub through, and just make sure that you don't go out of the frame. All right? Anybody questions on cropping? Yes?
On my crop, I put in
So did you make adjustments over here after that?
There's
Okay,
this,
so
I'm done.
drag the left value.
There you are.
Is that all right? Yeah, so see how it's,
okay.
right, so you wanna do left, right, and top. So kind of crop out, yeah, probably like right to like the base of that light, yeah. Because the whole idea is that we have a nice, consistent, equal background, so that when we key it out, that it's going to be able to isolate on the color. So drag your left value over. Just click on this here and drag it to the right. So see how when you're doing that, it's cropping you out. So that's probably too much, right? Probably want to be right on the like to the left of that lamp there. Do the same thing on the right and the top. All right, so we should see that our image is kind of cropped in, and we will have, it should be a lot easier to key it out, as it's called. So, now we're going to key it. All right, so we're going to get rid of that background.
How do you get those marks? Because,
How do we get what?
yeah, with those marks, this is just showing the black outlines for when I moved in.
What the,
Did you adjust the left and the right?
Yeah.
Mine's like that too.
the video. So, which marks are you saying?
Like the ones that you have.
So you drag
Oh,
it
those are
into
guys
the video on the timeline.
In here somewhere.
You know,
And the rest you drag it on. It's like the
no,
title,
like
safe or safe
into the
margin.
video.
It's just, it's like a margin.
And that and that should have been switched to that.
Is that part of the picture? Hide your video layer. when it's- Yeah, so that's your picture. Yeah, so it's all in here. I don't know. Have you already applied some medication or something, or it is odd how it's showing through that one part of it. You have a mask. Mask on. See this stuff here? Look at that. Just like that mask. All right, so to key out, as we're called, or knock out that green, we're going to clear out our search here.
Basically,
We can go to Video Effects, Keying, and I think Ultra Key was the one I used before. So we're going to drag this onto the video. All right, so all the effects work the same way. You drag it onto the thing you want it to be changed, and then you go ahead and you fine tune it in your effects control. So I dragged on this effect, and now I'm going to first start off by using my eyedropper to choose the color. Oh, that did it too easily.
to see where exactly.
Hello?
Drag it into here.
I think we just drag it on through video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Change the color. Click on the
All right.
eyedropper,
For what?
and then you click on the green screen. You see? There you go.
right, so I don't know, the first time I did it, it wasn't that easy. But that knocked out all the green automatically. That did a really nice job on that, right?
That's supposed to put the Ultra key onto the.
Yep, you drag the Ultra key onto your video layer, and then you use the eyedropper to choose the color. So maybe I just picked in the right spot there.
Got mine done. Alright. I got the whole thing done.
So we're going to export it as a MP4.
Alright, so you're still cropping, but click on your video layer. Yeah, I think you put the crop on your picture instead. So just click on here, just go away, and then put the crop there. Just the word crop, and then delete. So now we want to drag crop onto the blue layer. And now you can use those values in there to, if you expand the arrow, you get a slider, or if you click on the
No.
that's a slider also. Well, you can see there's a little bit of stuff up there. So, yeah, if you expand these arrows, yeah, you can kind of play around with those. We're gonna scale it. You don't really zoom in, we're gonna make it bigger.
Yeah, so if you aren't so lucky, if it didn't key out as nicely as mine did, those other areas in there, matte generation, matte cleanup, spill suppression, I think I've actually just used matte generation and matte cleanup. If you play around with those values, you should be able to get it to cancel out. Now you got a little bit
I
of,
know, I gotta,
see if you can get rid of that, right?
let's see. What I gotta do is, key, right, and now, see, click on this top layer. Yeah, I think you applied that effect to your picture. See how when we select that, it's not showing up anymore? So you want to apply the Ultra key to your video layer.
That's
and
okay.
the picture. I mean, you can delete it from there, but it really isn't gonna cause it. So you keep dragging it onto your picture. You have to drag it onto your video. It's still, you still have your picture selected, your Illustrator file, it's white, the camera.
Oh. I thought that.
There you go. So now,
There you go. But like there, I think that.
so that's why we cropped it, we could, increase this value now on the left. So see how now, that's not even an issue anymore, right? So you can do right. And then you can play around with, the matte generation and the matte cleanup, some of the stuff in there, try to get rid of that little highlighting up there.
It's pretty close though. All right, so,
Got it, good.
all right, so after we're keyed out, all we're going to do then is just make that picture behind there a little bit bigger. So I'm going to choose my JPEG, and now in my effects panel or control panel, I can just scale this. And I can see now that I do need a little bit more cleanup. So I can go back to my video layer, and in my Ultra key, I'll go to matte generation. So I don't know which values these are. You have to kind of play around a little bit with the, so my shadowing there, that's pretty good. And so why does my picture disappear at a certain point here? Yeah, my clip doesn't go all the way, right? So we would want to bring this all the way to the end, just extend that duration. And there we have it. Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, scale it to, it'll be a little bit bigger to kind of alleviate or remove that black area on the sides. So you make it a little bigger than it was. All right. All right, so that is, a quick run through of importing clips, cropping them, and applying some effects. All right. Let's do a save, and then we're going to export it, and we'll be done with our demo.
I think you increase the.
So, Mike, select your picture layer, right, so that middle layer is white. And then in your effect control, change the scale value. Should be under motion.
Yeah.
Devin?
I didn't realize, like, my shirt, the green blends, like, exactly with the background.
All right. I mean, yeah, you may have some difficulty as long as you have it kind of, pretty close. Let me just go over the exporting process, and then I'll come around and answer any last minute questions on there, all right?
My city looks way too small.
Well, it probably will. I mean, listen, this is just a demo activity. I want just to kind of learn the concept. You could always work on something else to make it more precise, I guess, or realistic. All right, so after we get it all keyed out and where our timeline kind of matches up, so our picture's there the whole time, to turn this into a video file, which we can upload anywhere, we're going to do File, Export. I'm in the wrong menu. And then Media. So File, Export, Media. And when this window comes up, our format is going to be H.264. And we just want to make sure we know where the output is going. So let's say it's going back to this folder on the desktop. And let's call this Duza. So last name, final, or Cityscape video final. All right, we want to talk about file naming so that somebody would know that this is the final version. All right, everything else should be set up. We're exporting video and audio, and then we're going to export it.
Where would you change the,
All right, so this is a pretty short video. It's exporting pretty quickly, and I'm just going to go back and double check my final product. So here it is.
Wow, this place is amazing.
But it looks like you're really there, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't as impressed with the way technology is now, but
We made us smaller, so it looks like we're actually like on the street.
all right, you want to look, see how we would do that?
Sure.
How would we do that? We should kind of know based on what we did. What's that? Scale the video, right? So we just select our video layer, all right, and then go into our effects, and we can just shrink down. And you can change your position here too, all right? So you can move yourself to a particular position in this. I mean, if we really wanted to go into this, we can make it so you can actually animate this video also so that it moved across as you're kind of turning. But I guess this would look a little more realistic possibly. Oh, my head got chopped off there by it. All right, so, you can spend a little more time with that, doing that if you'd like. But as long as you have it keyed out, I don't really care about the scale. Your image should be fitting the screen, and that would work for that. Now, let's see. Last thing, and I know I said that I was going to look at this, but I'm thinking ahead here. Can we post videos on Twitter? Right, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Actually, this says add photo or video, so let's see if we can skip a step there. All right, yeah, so we can put a video right into Twitter today. All right.
Where would you change the location of the video?
Okay. So to change the location, it's highlighted in blue. So when we do export video, right here, Mike, where it says output name. All right, so you just click on there, and that shows you the location, and you can rename it there. So what I'd like to see in your summaries today, you guys should have posted an example of the your infographics. So let's see who did that.
It crashed.
So Jordan, can you add your video to that as like a comment or something or a reply? Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
you should be able to, right? So instead of you having multiple posts, I'd like you to add your video to the post that you already made. Or if you haven't posted your picture yet, then you can kind of do it at once. All right, so let me stop the recording.